has a happy ever after. And after this story, there's an after party.
There we go.
Oh.
So I actually, I kind of just want to jump into things for a change. I am Sam Logsden.
I'm Amanda Pierce.
Welcome to Happy Ever After Party. So I have two observations that I need to make about this episode that I just watched.
Okay.
One is something that is like structural and something that's like worth mulling over. And the other one is just a random ass observation.
Okay, lay it on me.
Which one do you want to hear first?
Give me A.
Okay, so did you see who wrote this episode?
No.
It is the creators of the show, who also created Lost.
Okay.
And I bring this up because the last episode we watched had a lot of stuff in it, but that's just it. It was a lot of stuff. A lot of things happened, so it was really hard to talk about the episode, not because of anything substantial happening, but just because there were so many things going on. And in this episode, there's also a lot of stuff, but it's all internal. It's all thematic. Not all of it is good, but you can definitely like tell that there was a lot more like I guess like showmanship going on, and it was really an episode that showcased how much these two guys want to be recognized as good writers. Mm-hmm. And as somebody who has watched Lost, did you feel like this episode had a lot of Lost elements in it?
I've watched like the first 2 seasons of Lost. Mm-hmm. It's hard to say. Dennis, special guest appearance. Dennis, would you say this episode we just watched had some Losty elements? He said he wasn't really paying attention.
That's probably for the best, but so
it had kind of that jumping around thing, but I don't know. It seems to connect better in Lost than it does.
Okay, so there's that observation, and I kind of want to just kind of come back to that every single time, not because I know about Lost, but I know that these guys are very ambitious writers, and there are so many things in here that, you know, like you can see them jumping up and down as like certain things are unfolding, like, talk to me about my screenplay, please talk to me about it. And the other thing that I wanted to talk about is the eye makeup in men.
Yeah.
And Once Upon a Time.
There's been a serious uptick.
Okay, so without getting into extreme spoiler territory here, the entire time I was looking at the eye job, if you will, it was bothering me. Because on the one hand, I'm like, you know what? It improves his face so much because he's not very good looking.
Well,
yeah, he is not a very good looking man.
And that center part was doing him no favors.
No, but the eye makeup, like just adding a little bit of depth or something, I was like, okay, I could work with that. But the eye makeup is horrible until you realize that it's functional.
Yeah, it really pays off in
the last scene. It has a function, but I feel like they could have spent a little bit of time cleaning it up.
Yeah, it was very smoky.
Almost
to the point of greasy.
It was, well, like I said, for the last shot, it did what it was supposed to do. Yeah. And I felt like they might have like filmed that first and just went with it the rest of the time. Yeah. But it's like, you could have translated that so much better.
Even the center part wasn't too bad in that last scene.
No, like like I said, it was functional, and I would spend so much more time in the steampunk universe than I would at anywhere else in this, but unfortunately, I don't think we're going back there for a while.
Yeah, my kind of random observation from this episode is Bucky Barnes is too good for this show.
Isn't he?
He's way too good. That when he was in that first scene you see him in with Rumple and Regina,
Yeah.
I was like, oh, you're just too good for this. No wonder you went on to like a better career than television.
Yeah.
I don't know when Winter Soldier came out.
That
but
would
he
have
is
probably been like after this season, he probably would have started filming it.
Yeah. I'm gonna look it up really quick, but his acting is way too good.
And I think from like a storytelling standpoint too, it was really fun to see him doing that because the entire time that we've seen him, he's always been miserable. And this was like him being happy. So it's almost like we get like a little bit of a payoff from all of the torture he had been put through previously, even though this was well before any of that stuff happened. You know? So I think it was like, it was cute. It was really cute. And, yeah, there were a lot of people in this episode that, like, with a change of makeup, they were much better looking. Regina included.
Yeah, she looked good.
Yeah. That outfit at the end, how many fires did you give it?
Oh, all of them.
You got all
of
the
her
fires.
outfits got all of the fires.
But especially the last one, I really enjoyed.
So filming for Winter Soldier began in 2013, and this aired in 2012.
Yeah, that's what I thought.
So shortly thereafter, pretty much. He was probably cast.
We may not be seeing him again.
God damn it.
Well, don't hold me to that, because remember, I only stopped watching after a certain period.
Yeah,
so
this is all new to me. I'm not watching ahead anymore because I like I prefer my gut reactions without perspective.
Yeah, and I actually watched the next episode after this, so I'm going to reserve all judgment for there. Yeah. And I actually don't have anything to really expand upon with this episode. The next episode will be harder for me to keep my mouth shut about things.
Yeah.
But I will do my damnedest.
I have a couple feelings about this, but that gets into the plot of the episode. I took a couple vague notes.
Okay. Where's the easiest to start? Because like I said, this episode is dense, but it's not because of the stuff that happens. It's because of the interworkings of what it takes to make a TV screenplay and writing craftsmanship.
Let's go with the completely, like, unrelated to kind of the main thrust, because there's kind of three plots, right? Yes. So there's Regina and what's going on with her. There's Dr. Whale and what's going on with him. And then there's the Enchanted Forest bit today with Emma and Mary Margaret. So let's do that, because that's going to be real quick.
Yeah, so basically the quartet of women run into Hook. Yeah. And at first he tries to convince them that he is the lone survivor of one of Cora's attacks. And if you remember from the previous episode, him and Cora were in cahoots with each other.
Yeah, everyone at that safe haven is dead.
Yeah.
Got their hearts ripped out. Real good.
Because Emma has that wonderful ability to tell when people are lying to her, she decides to test whether or not he's telling the truth by doing the most logical thing and tying him to a tree, holding the ogres, and forcing him to tell the truth.
Yeah.
Totally reasonable.
Yeah.
But it works.
He tells them that him and Regina want to go to Storybrooke, and they're like, well, you can't because of the first MacGuffin. And he's like, but there's a second MacGuffin, and I'll help you find it. So the first one was the closet. The second one was a compass.
But the compass is located in a castle that is ran by a giant that you have to get to by climbing a beanstalk.
There are giants in the sky.
And this is where I need to stop talking because, like I said, I watched the next episode, and I don't want to divulge any more than is necessary for this.
I have not.
But like I said, with a lot of stuff that happens in the second season, when you're just looking at the material that you're given, it looks really dumb.
Yeah, it's pretty...
It's pretty dumb.
I still have no love for Hook. I liked him a little bit better in this, but still no real affection for him. Hopefully that changes, because I feel like he's going to be a thing.
Yeah, this isn't spoilery because, like, you're aware of the fandom, and the fandom doesn't shut up about Hook.
Yeah.
So it's really weird because there's this, like, it's not like a Team Jacob versus Team Edward thing. There's just kind of like this agreement that you are kind of on one side or the other, but it's less about, like, character or ability and just more about, like, do you want to date someone who's within your age group, or do you want someone with experience and ages like a very fine scotch? And we're on Team Scotch.
Yeah, damn straight.
So that's that in a nutshell. It has nothing to do with everything else that's going on. It is fodder for the next episode.
Yeah.
So, you know, that little bit of peppering in, like, oh, a beanstalk. Are we going to learn about the giants? Are we going to learn about Jack? Was there something related to the fairy tale or something related to the Disney version of that story that we're going to learn? You know? Yeah. So, like, a nice little chest that we will soon be given the keys to. But does it have anything to do with Whale and Guyliner? No, it doesn't. No. And we need to talk about Whale and Guyliner.
Well, the other kind of part that's unrelated is Henry gets a horse.
Well, you know what? Let's just say that Henry gets a horse and it's at a stable, and we'll get back to it later.
David gives Henry a horse, and I just said, that's a pretty horse, and I want that horse. It's a very pretty horse.
Well-trained horse, too.
It's a very fuckable horse. Look at that horse. I'd fuck that horse.
That is a tall glass of water.
That is a pretty, pretty horse.
Party.
And I want it. And what it does later on makes me want it even more.
Oh, yeah, definitely. It's, it might be my favorite character now.
Okay, I have notes on my phone, but this is a little peek behind the kimono here. I have notes on my phone, but I also have my laptop open to record. So I'm trying to delete notes as I mention things, so I don't forget. So I have the notes open on my phone, and I tried to hit backspace on my laptop to delete a note. So that's where I'm at mentally. God.
It's okay.
And I'm like, why won't this work? I'm hitting backspace. Oh, Jesus. Okay.
You know what? After subjecting you to these episodes, I'm not surprised. It does stuff to your brain.
So Regina has a problem.
Regina has a dead fiance problem.
Well, and she has an addiction problem. She goes to Archie.
Which, you know what? You know how, like, even in the bad episodes, there's, like, something in there that I can usually find that I like? I like the idea of her essentially going to magic rehab.
Yeah, that's what I was about to say. She's going to, like, magic AA.
Yes. And, like, good on Archie for not being judgmental. He is a much more believable therapist than Dr. Whale is a doctor.
Dr. Whale comes barging in, and Archie is like, this is inappropriate. And I'm like, since when do you care about good therapy practices? Remember that time when you're like, hey, we should play into this kid's delusion?
Yeah.
Like, since when do you care about HIPAA?
Well, his job was threatened for that particular HIPAA violation. So, at the very least, it wasn't his idea. But yeah, he actually yells at Whale to get the hell out.
Well, Whale's kind of a dick.
Well, and this is important too. I don't think we've only mentioned it once, that when I think it's either the first or second episode of this season, David says in passing, "And who are you?" Because he can remember who almost everybody is in Storybrooke, but he doesn't remember who Whale is.
Who are you? Yeah, and Whale responds like, "That's for me to know."
Yeah, it was essentially a cop-out answer because I don't think the writers knew who he was yet.
I think they may have, but
I was going to
Dennis
say
and
with
I
his
called
name,
it.
with his name, yeah.
That's true.
See, and this is what I mean by like you can see them jumping up and down being clever.
Ask me what it means. Ask me what it means.
It's like, hey, we don't just like stealing ideas from books. We actually read them.
Mm-hmm.
So.
Well, we read the plot synopsis.
Are we going to kind of like weave in and out between the flashback?
I think we have to, because it does kind of take that Lost approach where it's kind of interweaving narratives.
Yeah, and it's done at very rapid paces too, to kind of show the reflection of what was in the past and what's currently happening.
Yeah.
So Regina is addicted to magic, and initially she was magic repulsed, as we know by her history with her mother.
Yeah.
And what we find out is she's learning the Chekhov's heart rip-out technique, and doesn't want to crush the heart. And
of a unicorn.
Rumpel's getting frustrated with this, and we eventually learn that one of the reasons why she wants to dabble in the dark arts is to resurrect her dead fiance, and
because he's dead, but he's frozen. And I just wrote because I knew where this episode was heading.
Yeah, well, you would have known where the episode was heading if you pay attention to the title screen.
Oh, yeah, we did.
And if you saw what the name of the episode was.
Yeah, Dennis and I called who Whale was pretty early on in this.
Yeah, he's Victor Frankenstein.
Fuck this show.
And if you don't know the connection between the name Whale and what that has to do with Frankenstein, please read the book. It's actually pretty rewarding if you're used to like me for my job. I have to narrate really boring things. My job is to narrate nonfiction books. So to see something that's taking like a non-linear approach, like actually the Dracula, that kind of stuff is fun for me to read.
Dracula is a lot of fun.
That's fun, and like Frankenstein to a certain extent is fun too. It's not nearly as it doesn't nearly jump around as much as Dracula does, but it's very well written, and I think it's really misunderstood, much like the monster himself. And I prefer Dracula.
I prefer Dracula to Frankenstein.
Better. Well, I mean, if I'm just suggesting that if people haven't read it, that they should. I think it's worth read.
Dracula is too. Read Dracula.
Read both of them. Yeah. They're actually, I would say, probably better than 90% of their adaptations, with, of course, the exception of Blackula.
Yeah, true enough. What about Van Helsing?
Oh, I love Van Helsing.
Of course you do.
I know that it's shit. I know that it is garbage, but I think that it is like the perfect amount of brain candy that you shouldn't think about.
Yeah.
Without it like too much.
It's alright, like, and there's good cleavage in that, so
that's like half the reason. Between like the cleavage and almost naked Hugh Jackman, it serves its purpose.
Yeah, I'll take that.
And Faramir's in it. Yeah. But we're
Oh yeah, he is, isn't he? Oh shit.
He is. He's not a priest, he's just a friar.
Yeah. So he could totally bang.
Yes. I don't think that that's how that works. But we're getting sidetracked again. I'm sorry.
Yeah, but shortly after Regina visits Archie and Frankenstein, Whale, interrupts it, she goes to find him because they have a history.
And that history is kind of dumb.
Yeah, and she finds him mauled in his office in the hospital, and it has like a flickering
horror.
light. And I'm like,
Yeah.
oh, I'm kind of enjoying this horror movie twist a little bit.
It dabbles in it. It's like ABC safe.
Mm-hmm.
But I was like, this isn't nearly as good as Red-Handed.
Yeah.
You know, like that was a really good horror episode, and this, meh.
You do see his disembodied arm. You see something else too.
Mm-hmm.
I think it was like a leg, or it was his though. As you see later.
Yeah,
he walks.
He's fine. But yeah, it's kind of bloody, and I think we should probably explain why Regina went to him.
Yeah.
Because there's actually there's something that I don't know if the show answers.
Uh-huh.
And that is Victor Frankenstein does not belong in the Enchanted Forest realm.
No.
The Mad Hatter is in this episode. Bucky is in this episode because he was able to transport him to the Enchanted Forest.
Yeah,
okay?
let's go to when Regina met Victor. That 90s rom-com classic.
Yeah.
Because Rumpelstiltskin doesn't want to mentor her because she's not willing to let go of the past, basically, is what he says. So that's
that's what he says.
That's kind of our thesis statement for the episode, because it is kind of what it comes down to. She's keeping David Bowie, I forget his name, frozen. Daniel? Dennis just said, at the same time as you. It was pretty good. She's keeping David Bowie frozen and wants to bring him back to life, so Rumpelstiltskin's like, the fuck out of here. And he tells, Jefferson shows up with a crystal ball, and then Rumpel's like, where'd the slippers go? And Jefferson's like, ah. And then Jefferson offers to help Regina by introducing her to someone who has a power that is stronger even than magic.
And here is where I wanted them to say it, and they didn't say it until the last scene, which it
was a money shot, and I said it at the same time.
Because we all knew what he was going to say, and we're not going to say it until the end. Okay?
And then that little gif of Bill Nye the Science Guy kind of like flashed in my head.
I want somebody to make that edit. If somebody who's like good at videos makes it, like, contact us and make it.
But he says that he can bring Daniel back. But he needs a heart. So she takes him to the heart Oceum.
Well, her mother.
Cardioceum.
If we didn't make this expressly clear, this is when Cora was pushed into the mirror, but it's before Regina straight up turned evil. She's on the precipice of becoming evil. If
you caught the previously on, it was when she agrees to be apprenticed by Rumpel.
And that's what's kind of nice about Disney Plus as opposed to watching this on Netflix.
You get the
previously it doesn't skip that. Yeah. Which I honestly get annoyed by those because I'm not an idiot. But sometimes it is nice for the sake of petty reviewing.
Mm-hmm. And so she tells Victor to pick out a heart, and they don't know what hearts are which because Regina's mother did not implement a labeling system, which seems impractical to me. You need some little filing cabinets with some labels on it.
Well, I can actually understand the reasoning behind it to a certain extent, or rather, I can see why you wouldn't necessarily need to label all of them, because sometimes the hearts aren't specified. Yeah. For like, if you're controlling a certain person, you definitely want to know where their heart is. Mm-hmm. But if you just need like any heart, I think you can have like the Abby normals, like categorized just in one shelf.
But you think you'd want your hearts labeled, right? So you don't end up killing someone like important that you might need later.
Well, Regina organized it later, as evidenced by the first season and her huntsman.
Yeah.
She clearly developed an organization system later, but she did not know her mother's organizational skills.
She needed to find the Cora decimal system or whatever that her mother used.
You know what? I think she learned the Cora decimal system after
Not
she
decimal.
That's...
I thought you said decibel. Okay, whatever. No. I'm living in the past. Let's move on.
So... to finish up the flashback, because it's actually quite simple.
Mm-hmm.
They get a heart. He said that I have to do this alone, which is something that you should never trust when somebody says during a medical procedure.
Yeah. He says he needs to do this special procedure that consists of slamming a heart into his chest.
Alone.
In a tent
and you just
during
see
a
silhouette
thunderstorm.
of it happening. Yeah. Silhouette of it happens, and it fails, or he tells her that it fails, and she does a big cry, and she goes back to Rumpelstiltskin, dressed all in black, bun held high, and rips out the heart of the new apprentice that he probably selected specifically so that Regina would be pissed off and rip her heart out.
Yeah, I was looking at Wiki, and it says, she bears a curious resemblance to Esmeralda from Hunchback of Notre Dame.
No, she doesn't.
No, she does not.
No.
But,
nice
she's wearing the same kind of off-the-shoulder thing, but no, not really. And I just wrote, oh shit, she's wearing black now.
Because it's a non-fiction story, but I don't exactly know how I feel about Romani being portrayed in the Enchanted Forest, because Regina kind of played one once.
Yeah.
Yeah, we're not going to touch that.
Whatever. So we learn a little bit more about this later, but we'll get to that at the end. How's that?
Yeah, there's a twisty doodle.
Yeah.
And do you want to get, like, the one twisty doodle out of the way first that involves the three gentlemen?
No, because that goes into Victor going back to his world in the Bill Nye line.
Okay, so we'll put a pin in it.
So Regina's evil now, and going back to Rumpel to learn, she crushes her first heart. They grow up so fast.
We're proud of her.
So she in Storybrooke, we find out Regina talks to Whale, and Whale informs her that he brought back David, but it's not David. Daniel? Sorry.
It's definitely not David.
It's definitely not David. It's definitely Daniel, or Zombowie, as I will call him for the rest of this.
Yeah, he done made a monster Zombowie.
Zombowie. And she's intercepted by David, who wants to kill it, because David has one mode. One solution to every problem.
You forgot where all of this is taking place. Hey, audience, do you remember how Henry has a horse?
Yeah, well, she said that, like a Zombowie, he'll go back to where he last remembered he was when he was alive, like David did. And, you remember that horse thing?
Yeah.
Well, Zombowie in life was a horse dude. He did the horses.
Yeah.
And, he goes to the horse place with the horses and spooks the really pretty, Henry horse, who then knocks Henry to the ground. And I'm like, now I want that horse even more. It's a good horse.
It was a good shot too. It was fast enough that you didn't actually see him getting kicked by the horse, but the timing of everything made you believe that it happened.
Yeah. He might not have gotten kicked by the horse. The horse kind of reared up and he might have fallen. I don't think he got kicked, because if that kid got kicked, that he'd probably be dead.
But I know that he didn't actually get kicked, but the camera work was almost suggesting that. Yeah. But that's, it was quick camera work.
And also, half a season ago, Dr. Whale couldn't unpoison a child, and now he's bringing back the dead. Okay.
Oh, but guess what? Like, oh, shit, we forgot, like, one of the best scenes.
What? What one?
I mean, like, it doesn't matter why it happened, but before he interrupts Regina, Whale approaches David, and David's initial reaction is punching him in the face.
Yeah, like I said, David has one solution to all of his problems.
Violence.
It's kind of the same as my D&D character C. Clarther's solution to everything, which is hit it till it stops moving.
Yeah. And, like, basically his justification was, that was sleeping with my wife. I was cursed. Yeah. And
everyone says also, that.
Yeah. So I think that's the justification for why he is a significantly better doctor than he was during the curse. He must have been a really crappy doctor.
Yeah, but he's the best damn doctor that we've got.
I mean, probably true.
So, Zombowie...
I've been to Daisy Town, and Storybrooke is basically Daisy Town.
Zombowie gets locked in the stall by David, and Regina wants to talk to him. Zombowie tries to strangle Regina, and then she says, I love you. Zombowie comes back to normal David Bowie for 1 second and says, he's in pain and please let me go. Which
basically just translates to kill me.
Yeah. And he goes back to Zombowie and she magics him away while she's crying.
Yeah, just like straight up dissolves him.
And then she goes back to Dr. Archie and says, I used again, and he invites her in. And that's pretty much where present day Storybrooke ends, if I remember right.
Well, no, there's one more scene that ties into the
yeah.
So, remember how we said Dr. Whale had his arm ripped off?
Yeah.
And he's a doctor? He doesn't stay in the hospital to get that taken care of.
Yeah.
He goes to Rumpelstiltskin.
Well, you want to talk about the scene with the three of them first, because he tells Rumpelstiltskin that his power is greater than magic and he'll never need it, and he kind of makes an offhand wager with Rumpel that he'll have to, that one of them will one day admit that the other has a magic stronger than magic.
Now, the reason why this all is brought up, like, because Jefferson is taking him back to his realm. Because remember, he doesn't actually belong in the Enchanted Forest. He belongs in the magical world of steampunk. I don't care what it's actually called. That's what I'm calling it.
No one cares.
But
Grayscale land.
The whole idea of getting Daniel risen from the dead to not have it work was all a ploy by Rumpelstiltskin to get Regina to turn to the dark side.
Yeah.
And in return for agreeing to do this, he lets Victor get a heart, one of the glowy hearts, so that he can resurrect his brother. And there's a pretty good line in it which is like, Rumpel's like, you helped me make my monster, now I'll help you make yours. And then he's like, I'm not making a monster.
I'm making my brother. And like, dude, you're Frankenstein. You're making a fucking monster.
We knew where this was going.
Yeah.
So he gets teleported back. Now to cut to a now one-armed whale carrying his arm around in an icebox. Goes to Rumpel, and Rumpel has a great line when he first walks into the magic shop.
When I say I charge an arm and a leg, or when people say I charge an arm and a leg, I didn't mean like literally.
Fictive.
Yeah.
And he's like, can you fix it? There's a difference between can and will. He's like, well, name your price. He's like, you gotta say it.
You gotta say, hey,
say it. He's like, you were right.
It.
Magic's better.
Yep.
And then all of a sudden his arm is magically reattached.
Yep.
As is his sleeve.
No, it's not. His sleeve is still gone.
Oh, okay, because I thought
he's wearing like No, it was like a t-shirt sleeve. Like it was like a button-up shirt.
Yeah, mea culpa.
Yeah. No, he does not get his sleeve back via magic.
Everything comes with the price. You don't get your sleeve back.
His sleeve is the price.
So the money shot.
Yeah. He's going back to grayscale land, steampunk land. And
the magic world steampunk. And remember that awful makeup we were talking about? It really does look like early film, like generic monster movie.
1920s black and white silent movie makeup.
And it works. It actually does. Like the part, everything works. I do like his jacket, if nothing else. I do really like his jacket, I would like him at it.
I do like that they make the heart red, which pops, especially with the blue, gray, black and white kind of thing we have, because it's not really black and white, it's kind of a blue. So it looks really cool, I thought. Actually, the color on it was pretty interesting.
Yeah, and, the filtration was good. Spot on.
Yeah.
And he puts the heart inside his brother, and lightning happens, and the arm raises from the table. And his assistant, who is not named, it's just the assistant, according to credits, is like, it's like magic, sir. No.
It's better than magic. It's dun dun dun. Science.
Science rules.
Yes.
We need someone to make that for us.
Bill.
So like I said, this episode is dense, but not like how the last one was dense.
Yeah. So the last one was dense in terms of being stupid. This one is dense in terms of a lot of shit happens.
Yeah, and it's really striking to see how an episode can improve a little bit from the previous just by having people watch the previous season.
Yeah.
It makes a pretty big difference. But to say that I liked this episode, I don't know. I was still kind of meh about it.
I was pretty mad about the Victor Frankenstein thing, I'm not gonna lie. Frankenstein. It's Frankenstein.
What knockers?
Blur. But like my initial reaction to Victor being revealed was fuck this show. Fuck everything about this show. Now we're just going with public domain. Like, come on, dude. We're not even doing fairy tale anymore. Okay, I get it. He's from a different world. Are all literary worlds that are in the public domain are owned by Disney? Fair game now? Like, fuck this. But
Disney never really owned a Frankenstein.
No, it's in the public domain,
It's in the public domain.
Yeah, that's what I mean.
And like I said, I did warn you last episode that they were reaching into the public domain. And the show does this. It is heartbreaking. It's what Regina and Cora do. The show rips your heart out and squeezes it, but it refuses to kill you by making Lana Parrilla and Bucky and Robert Carlyle just so dang irresistible.
Yeah, like, I kind of breezed over Regina's story in this, but Lana Parrilla actually did a damn solid job acting. Robert Carlyle's just always a delight. And Jefferson, at one point, has to wear that stupid fucking hat, the stupid fucking top hat, while he's, like, sitting on a log talking to Victor and Rumpel.
It's
in
in
that
much
scene.
better condition.
But he looks really, like, he makes that hat work. I was like, how do you make that stupid goddamn hat work? Well, and his whole outfit's kind of preposterous. He has like this big old coat and cravat and everything else, but I'm like, wow, you're really making this work for you, Bucky.
He's also not like a conventionally handsome person. Like he's a little bit odd looking. So I think sometimes when you're not like that conventionally like symmetrical or chiseled or anything like that in the face. Like, you can get away with pulling off a
just,
lot of that stuff.
I'm just gonna say it. The fangirls can have Hook. I don't want Hook. I'll take Jefferson though.
Mm-hmm.
I'll have a hot plate of him on the side to go down with my Robert Carlyle and Regina main course.
Oh yeah.
But
I mean, if you want Jefferson as your side dish, that's fine. I will take Giancarlo.
How did we feel about Whale's acting, Whale's physicality and everything?
Well, it's kind of hard to tell because he went from being a slightly standoffish, stoic fuckboy to a slightly standoffish, stoic, I'm trying my damnedest not to do a German accent doctor.
Yeah, he does a British accent in its sight, I guess.
It's vaguely British. It's not.
I don't know if he is British. That would be really unfortunate.
I was gonna say, if he is, he hasn't got the best British accent.
Yeah.
Or he's just, I don't know. It's like, it almost sounds like he naturally has a German accent and was trying to keep himself from doing it.
It's like, I would fight this fake German accent.
Severe method acting.
David Anders was born in Oregon.
Okay.
Grants Pass, Oregon.
Yeah,
I don't know where that
is. Shitty British accent.
Yeah, no.
It's like, from somebody who really likes horror and, again, like, a story that was written by a woman for horror that I have a lot of reverence for, I don't think it does the story any justice, but it's not, like, offensive.
Okay, but does it do it Once Upon a Time levels of justice?
You know, that's a problem, is, like, there's a lot of people who do, like, passable acts for Once Upon a Time that aren't, like, stellar performers. Yeah. So the scale is, like, not only inflated, but really lopsided. Yeah. So I would say that he's neither doing it justice, but he's not really doing it an injustice either. I'd say that he probably...
I think he did as good as he could for the writing.
I was going to say, like, Robert Carlyle and Lana Parrilla are really good at taking the worst parts of the script and making them work despite themselves. And I don't think he is either... I don't think he quite has the talent to pull it off. But he didn't do an offensive job. I'd say he leans more towards good than he does bad.
I'm going to throw Bucky in that category of Regina and Robert Carlyle.
Yeah.
In the, hey, you kind of transcend this material a little bit, because in that scene with Victor and Rumpel and Jefferson, he's doing some good, like, nonverbal acting, because he really doesn't have a lot to say in it. He's just kind of reacting to other people talking, but he was never not doing something. He was never just sitting there. So,
and his character is supposed to be nutty, you know,
and if you
but he's not supposed to top him either.
If you reflect back to his previous episode that was him-centric, he has to say hat, which is a silly word, very, very much a lot. Very seriously and intensely. And you're never like, hat's a stupid word that you have to say a lot. You know, I think he's pretty good at... I can see why he got a career after this, basically.
Yeah. Yeah.
But Victor, God bless him, I just don't... He's just not in the same caliber. It's not quite as bad as when, like, Henry has a scene with, like, a Regina or a Robert Carlyle. But it was kind of a little bit, what can I say but yikes, just a little bit. But it wasn't bad. It wasn't bad. It wasn't Henry bad.
No.
It wasn't last season David bad.
Like, the actress who plays Mulan, okay, by all accounts is fine, but her character is just so poorly written that I don't think she'll ever have a chance to really shine in that role.
I'd say she's the worst new addition this season.
Well, I mentioned this to you off camera, recording, audio, whatever. Outside of the podcast, I mentioned this to you, but she has what in certain nerd cultures call Worf syndrome. So for all of you Next Generation fans out there, Worf is built up to be a great Klingon character, takes a lot of pride in his physical abilities, but he's always the first to get knocked out.
Fuck you! Fucking cat. Sorry.
Okay, so the cat just Worfed you. Because you're a strong female role model, but you just got Worfed by the cat to show how powerful the cat is.
Zini, are you gonna have a cameo on this? I'm sitting in my armchair, and Zini just hopped up the arm and just started sniffing the mic. Why I said fucking ow is I got a tattoo this week, and he just headbutted my tattoo.
Oh, baby, you don't do that.
Like, my fucking 20-pound cat. It's just like, I'm just gonna full-on headbutt you.
Oh, God.
Jerk. Now
but anyway...
full cat butthole. Get down.
They totally Worf Mulan in this.
Yeah.
So many times with either... we need to show how strong this entity is, or like with Aura, it's like really good, cunning skills, knows about like who to trust and who not to trust, got really easily duped by somebody who wasn't Lancelot.
Well, and it's like, also, they're trying to sell her as like this strong, like, I think it's hard to play a stoic character.
It's very difficult to play a stoic character without being boring.
And that's what Mulan is.
But part of that, it's not just the acting, though. You know, like, it's also what you're supposed to do. It's hard to write a stoic character as much as it is to act like a stoic character. Like, the character that I had to play recently is a stoic character.
Yeah.
They just also happen to be, like, kind of full of themselves, too. Where it's not like, you're not being deadpan the entire time. You're sort of allowing the script to make jokes at either your expense or to the situation's expense.
Yeah.
But if the script doesn't allow that, you can't shine. So I think, like, what's happening with her also happened with Whale.
No, as with any kind of TV show or movie, as with any TV show or movie, you can't just say, oh, it's bad acting, because so much of it goes into it. So many elements go into it, casting and writing and directing.
Editing.
But I also just think Mulan is overall, I'm not pinning it on the actress, unlike Henry, who I pin on him.
Yeah.
But she just is probably the worst new addition. She's the least interesting. She's probably the worst written so far. Thank God we haven't had much to do with her. I don't want a Mulan-centric episode. I hope we don't get it.
I don't remember if we get one or not, so
I hope not.
That. Although, this isn't really a spoiler alert, but it is just like bracing yourself. In the episodes to come, you're going to be introduced to a new character.
Oh, great.
Okay? And that character gets their own episode down the road. And when that happens, I can't really remember how I felt about the episode itself, but the fact that that episode happened is nuts. Like, you know that rage that you felt when you first realized who Whale was? Once upon a time? You will have that same reaction. I guarantee
God damn it.
Because that's what happened to me.
Well, let's see how it goes, I guess.
Yeah.
We're stuck doing this show for a while. This one was better than the last one, though.
I give it, like... You know what? I hesitate to give it 3. I'd
give it 2.
I give it a solid 2.
Especially since we gave the last one 1. And the fuck you for introducing Frankenstein into this had to take away a solid point.
It's like, you know what? The reason why it's a 2 and not a 1 is, first of all, Bucky and Regina. But the second reason why is it's like, if you had to go dumpster diving for public domain now, if you had to do it, this is probably the best they could do.
Yeah, okay, let's meet in the middle, go 2.5.
Yeah, it's like, it's not quite meh.
Yeah,
but it's not the most offensive thing we've seen.
They're slightly... Jefferson's makes it worth it to watch. Robert Carlyle and Regina have scenes together that are always decent and good.
Yeah. You get to see Whale getting punched in the face. I think that definitely accounts for the half.
And you get to see Henry get, knocked onto the ground by a horse. So...
Yeah, the violence definitely, I think, counts for a solid half.
And there is a pretty horse.
There's a few pretty horses, but the main
I like that horse.
Pretty.
Yeah.
The horse in the next stall was all blah, 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 was also pretty,
Was that like the gray speckly one?
Yeah.
Yeah, I think that it was an American Painted or something. I forget the names of horses. I've not been a horse girl for a while.
We forgive you.
I'm sorry. I wish I was still a horse girl. Dennis, make more money so I can be a horse girl.
I mean, we together, you and I can be a horse girl. It's just, I will volunteer to be the ass.
I was about to say, you better be the ass.
I will absolutely be the ass.
You're the butt of all of my jokes. You might as well be the horse's ass, too.
Ha!
Oh, God.
All right.
So,
well, I am Sam Logsdon, unfortunately.
I'm Amanda Pierce still, I guess.
And remember, it may not be the end.
It may not be horses.
But you are always welcome to this party.
Ground control to Zombie Tom.